Hello. This card reading is a card reading for creatives, and it is inspired by this rainbow brain skull deck, which is from an artist named Ramin Nazaire. I hope I said his name right. And I've been following him on Instagram for a while, and he has just like an amazing style of art. It's very fun. It's very much rooted in I feel like the struggle of what it's like to be a human being, how hard it is to show up. Is that just me? Maybe. As well as like how fun and amazing creativity can be. So I have been following him for maybe a couple years now, and he released a post that this deck is available again, I guess for sale. I think it maybe wasn't available for a little while, or they had like gone out of stock, or maybe just it's new to me. But yeah, so I got this deck last night, and while I was looking at all of these really amazing cards, the thing that dropped in was that I needed to do a card reading for creatives. So here we are. This Rainbow Brain Skull deck is one of the oracle decks that I will be using. So I will also be using this Creative's Compass oracle deck, the Prism oracle deck, and the Raise Your Vibration oracle deck. So let me put this Rainbow Brain Skull back out here, so that you can just see all the like lovely colors, right? All these, I just love all the colors of the rainbow. I think it's so fun. Like, colors are so fun. But yeah, so I have three options for you to choose from, three groups. So the first group is the, what is this? The Yoga Tarot. The next one is the Apparition Spirit Speak Tarot. And then the third one is the Numinous Tarot. So I pulled a card to help you make your selection. So this first card is the Chariot. So group number one, the message of the Chariot card is that you are going somewhere. You're moving somewhere. Spirit's taking you somewhere. Your creativity is ready to go somewhere. Maybe you're ready to go somewhere. And I really love that it's got this person and this kind of little magical deity. So it's almost like this is, like these two horses pull the chariot. This is the charioteer, but there's this kind of divine element here. So I'm going to call this, like your spirit guide / creative energy. Feels like your creative energy is ready to take you somewhere. Group number two, this is from the Spirit Speak Tarot, the Apparition Spirit Speak Tarot. And your card is Justice. So this card is about balance. A lot of black and white, it feels very rigid, just the really extreme dichotomies of like all the colors and the absence of color. It kind of feels like maybe there's a little bit of releasing of control, or releasing of like how you structure your creativity. That's kind of the message that I feel like, where it's like, it almost feels like, do I make the art that I love, or do I make the art that people seem to like right now? And, when I talk about art, this can be illustration, this can be paintings, this can be like words, this can be designs. So this creative reading is for anybody that creates things, which is everyone. We are all creators. And then this group three card is from the Numinous Tarot. Oh, and the message is the Fool. And we have a rainbow. And so this is a card of new beginnings, like being ready to start a new journey. And yeah, and just kind of diving head first, like not worrying about the stuff that's going on here, being aware, of some of the risks, and making sure that you jump out far enough, that you don't get hurt. But also like with this card, or with this portion of the like the lightning and the rainstorm, like we can't see how close or far this is from the person. So this could be like miles away. And so like it's safe to leap. But if we focus on this, if we focus on like the scary thing that's looming in the background, which there's always something, let's be honest, even if it's just like things your brain is making up, then that can stop us from leaping. And this rainbow is really like, there's positive things. Like this is a good omen, you know, that like the sun is coming out from behind the clouds. Like just go for it. I love it. So this is a pick a card reading, but you know, if you want to watch every single group, like you are welcome to. For group number 1, all the tarot cards I pull are from this Yoga Tarot. For group number 2, all the cards I pull are from this Apparition Spirit Speak. And then for group number 3, all the tarot cards that I pull are from the Numinous Tarot. And then I pulled oracle cards for every group from all of these. So lots of color, lots of creative energy. Just I wanted to just offer something like light and inspiring and colorful and fun. So yeah, that's gonna be the reading. As always, take as much time as you need to pick, and thank you for being here. So I will see you guys in the readings. Hello, group number 1. So if you chose the Yoga Tarot and the Chariot card, this is your reading. So I have pulled tarot cards as well as the oracle cards that I mentioned. So let's look at your tarot reading first. So there's a certain spread that I use for relationships, and so I wanted to use that same spread for you and your creative energy. So just kind of seeing like what your energy is, what your creative energy is, maybe your creativity's energy, how that energy comes together, and then what is coming in the future or like a way ahead. So this first card is your energy. So this is the Queen of Wands. So this is very much a card of action. The Queen of Wands is, I feel like she's very magical, not just because she has a wand, you know, or she's the Queen of Wands, but in the traditional tarot, the Queen of Wands is in the desert and there is a sunflower growing kind of behind her. There's a couple of them. And so sunflowers don't grow in the desert. And I feel like that imagery, like that symbolism is a reflection of one, you know, wands are a fire sign, but also like sunflowers being heliotropic, like they follow the sun. So they will move to kind of face the sun. But the focus is on the fire, on the light, on the sun. And so I feel like that is what the nod of the sunflower is in relation to magic around the Queen of Wands, you know. And so there's this ability to create things that like almost don't make sense. You know, like to create an environment for things to grow that shouldn't be able to grow there. So I feel like your energy is that you have this ability to almost like combine elements. It might be types of art. It might be maybe like types of paint or different mediums or even words, sounds, like creativity, like art. It can range from, you know, visual to, you know, sound and music to even like food, you know, like when you think about like fusion restaurants, like where they kind of mix like, I don't know, like Asian food and American food, right? Where you have like maybe like a Szechuan pork burger, you know, that you have the ability to combine things that on the outside people look at it and they might be like, that doesn't go together, that doesn't make sense. But because you have this magic with your creativity, like you can bring things together that don't belong together and create something really magical. So I love that. Like that's so, I feel like that's just like really fun, really, really fun. So the energy of your creativity is this next card, which is the 10 of Pentacles. All of these cards are connected to yoga. So like yoga poses, kind of like the kind of spirituality of yoga, you know, because yoga isn't just an exercise, it's like a spiritual practice. It's a belief system for a lot of people, that there's, Ben agrees, that there is purpose and benefit and meaning behind the yoga poses, right? It's not just to show how cool you are when you can do a handstand, but it's really tied into like energy and doing specific poses for the intention of specific things. Ben, okay, you said you're high, so give me a couple minutes, buddy. Sorry about that. So this 10 of Pentacles, the tens are kind of a culmination in the tarot. Like it's the completing of a cycle. It's like reaching a goal. And so with this 10 of Pentacles, Pentacles are about time, energy, and money. And so typically, like, I think that the 10 of Pentacles is one of like the happily ever after cards. Everybody's happily ever after looks different, but I feel like with a lot of creatives, like there's this energy around you can't make art and make money, right? Or that like only a few people that are creative, that are artists, get to make a lot of money. And so like this card, like looking at it, it has nothing to do with money, right? It's got this person that's kind of really focused on like being in a position that they can sustain, because this is the position that they've chosen to take on, right? That, a headstand, like there's certain benefits, of doing headstands. So this is intentional. This isn't someone that like has gotten stuck upside down. But this other energy, I feel like, is the structure around money, right? That it's almost like this is the Pentacles energy, and that your creativity wants to be an avenue for you to earn money, like to have the abundance that you want, to have the life that you want. But, it's about learning how to make the energy of money work for you instead of contorting yourself to support the energy of money. And I say that because like this person in the headstand, like they have their hands out, and like the money is, to me, what it feels like, the money is flowing into the space that's available, instead of this person trying to figure out, how do I become a container to get this? You just have to be open to receive. Like you need to be in the flow of what you know that you should be doing. You need to be in alignment with what creativity is guiding you to do. You need to follow the energy of your creativity and just be open to receive the abundance that's going to come in. And so for some of you, like the abundance is not going to be money, because that's not the focus for you. For some of you, like the abundance that's going to come in is going to be people. There's going to be other creative people that are drawn to you, that you can have like friendships and partnerships with. And like even it feels like it almost feels like when, gosh, how do I, like when people are doing like water painting, and like the colors blend together a little bit, and and once it dries, like you can kind of see this swirling of like the two colors together. You can still see each individual color, but there's a space where they've come together. Like they weren't intentionally mixed together, but there's this complementary energy. Like I feel like for some of you, like that's what's going to come in. You're going to have these like people come in that inspire you and that you can kind of blend energy with to create new things, because like we talked about, your energy is that things that don't look like they should go together, you're able to kind of synthesize them and like create this collaborative space where it's like that swirling of colors where you can see the two different colors, but there's also this magic in how they kind of get blended together without being lost. And so your creativity's energy is like asking you, follow me, and I will create I will create the container for the abundance to come in. So it's almost like your creativity is like, hey, just let me take the lead and I know where to go. Like that your energy is the purpose of, in this relationship between you and your creativity, like you are the one that is creating things, and your creativity is the guide to get you to success, abundance, fulfillment, whatever your happily ever after is. So it feels like, to really super simplify it, just follow your creative energy. like whatever you feel like creating. That, yeah, I feel like this card really just represents the relationship, right? Where it's like you are being asked to tune in and listen to where your creativity is guiding you to go, because like these kind of external things, the means for you to get there, it's gonna you're the charioteer, so you steer where the chariot goes, but your creativity is asking you, like, let me be the GPS, like just let me pick the route, like I know where you want to go, like you want abundance, fulfillment, connection, like whatever that happily ever after energy is for you. Your creativity is like, I will get us there, but let me dictate the route. Like you do the creating, I'll do the driving, and then, we will get to where the cards are going to show us we're going. So the combination of both of your energies together is King of Wands. Oh, so I feel like with, like your energy being the Queen of Wands, and then the combination of energies being the King of Wands, like it's a partnership. So like your relationship with your creative energy is a partnership. And so like it's almost like your creative energy wants to help you have a life that becomes a partnership for you, if that makes sense. Like I think that, gosh, I feel, I don't want to say this in a really, well, I was going to say, I don't want to say this in a really negative way, but I'm just going to say it. Like, we don't always love our lives, right? That like some of us can be really unhappy in our lives for a long time. And we're trying to do the things to like create the lives that we want. We're trying to do the things to like cultivate joy and happiness. Some of us are just trying to survive. Like we're just trying to pay the bills. We're just trying to, do the things that we know that we need to do within the structure of what it means to exist right now as a human being, right? That there are all sorts of reasons, like, we go through like hurts and pains, and we have wounds, and like just being human is hard, like being human can be really hard, and being human can also be really, really amazing. And so the combination of your energy and your creativity's energy is that like when you partner, when you allow your creativity to take the lead in your life, it allows this really beautiful partnership to happen between those two energies to create this life that you really want, right? Where it's like your life and this combination of both your energies becomes a partner to you. So it's really like this energy of like I feel like this is like so simple it's complicated. That when you combine energy with your creativity, like you are fully living your life. Like we talk about or as human beings, we talk about like, oh, just let me live. Like I want to live my life. But a lot of us don't really live in our lives, right? Like we do the things that we need to do to survive, but like surviving is not living. And so the combination of your energy and your creativity's energy is for the purpose of giving you like the opportunity to live your life, to enjoy your life, to really experience the fullness of your life instead of just like surviving and worrying. And I feel like that's really beautiful because we don't all get to experience that. I think some of us don't ever experience it. Some of us have like these fleeting moments of it. And then others of us have learned how to cultivate it based on what it is that like we actually want for our lives instead of what the world tells us we need to have. And that's really, I feel like, what living your life is. And like looking at, I don't know what this structure is, but this definitely feels like fireworks to me. So I feel like this is very much like, like the face looks very serious, but in the background, there's just like this explosion and all these colors. And like what it feels like is this very intentional combination of things to lead to the celebration, to lead to this like really positive energy. And so finally, this last card is the way ahead, or like what's coming for you and your creativity in the future. And it's the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is a card of moving on. And so we've got this person, you know, in their kind of lotus pose, and there's these different kind of elevated beings. And what it feels like to me is that you, like, what is coming for you, like what's coming for your future, is that you're going to be moving on from possibly like old versions of yourself, or like old programming, old mindsets, old thought processes that, like, as you're able to really sit in partnership, because I feel like we've got these two colors over this person, right? Like one part is this kind of purplish, kind of bluish purplish that very much matches these old versions. And then we've got this orange that's kind of coming in and taking over. And so orange is associated with the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra, if you're not familiar with where that is over like the reproductive organs. It's over the womb space for women. It's over, you know, the lower stomach. And the sacral chakra is the energy of creativity, right? Because like, when people want to create a human, the things that you need to make a baby come from the reproductive organs, you know, which is what the space that the sacral chakra rules in, you know, in females. You know, when they get pregnant, the baby is growing in the womb. And so that's the space that the sacral chakra rules. And so it is very much about the energy of creativity. And so I feel like what is coming in the future, what is the way ahead for you and your creative energy, is that as you allow more of that creative energy to become a part of like who you are and how you operate and how you move in the world, these kind of purple blue energies, like they kind of move away, they move up, they ascend. And so, you know, this kind of like dark blue chakra and then the purple chakra, like this dark blue chakra is the third eye and this purple chakra is like the crown chakra. So these moving up, like it's almost like as you allow your creativity to take over in like how you operate and move in the world, your chakras are getting rebalanced. So instead of you needing to feel like, okay, I have to meditate to tap into my third eye and my crown chakra so that I know what to create, it's like your sacral energy, your creative energy is like, no, I'm here inside of you. Just let me, like, you don't have to connect to like these other mind parts. Like you don't have to use your brain essentially to figure out what you need to create. Just let me, you know, and again, like a lot of reds and oranges, just let me guide you. Let me be the GPS, you know, like let me, as your creative energy, let me create, because it's kind of my thing. So I feel like as you partner more with your creative energy, as you learn to follow your creative energy and get in alignment with like what your creativity is, like you're going to move into a new way of really being like balanced and integrated as a person, as an artist, as a creative. I was going to say something and I lost it. What was I going to say? Sorry, I don't remember. It jumped out of my brain when I was doing this. But so this has been the tarot portion. So let's look at your oracle cards. So these first two are from the Prismacolor deck. Oh, determination with the sunshine in the background. This is bright yellow, you know, so this is yellow is associated with the solar plexus chakra. It's associated with confidence. And so I think like a really amazing thing is that like you know, because you have this ability to kind of make magic, like if you decide, like if you become determined just to follow your creative energy and come in alignment with your creativity, like that, I feel like that's the most powerful thing that you can do, because when you focus on, when you dedicate your focus to being in the flow of creativity, it blocks out a lot of this old kind of mental chatter. Because I think for you as an artist, like, gosh, I feel like like the world that we live in, especially if you're like an entrepreneur or like you are a freelancer, or you know, your work identity doesn't come from like a job title. There's so much content out there about personal branding, and like a lot of personal branding is, to me, in my opinion, very much focused on figuring out or helping you figure out how to put yourself into a box, in as few words as possible to explain the complexity of who you are. You know, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. What I am saying is that for people that are not one dimensional, for people that are multidimensional, for people that really thrive in the space of being multifaceted, it's very difficult to minimize yourself to one small phrase, 2 to 3 words, because it doesn't, you can't, it's almost like if you had to describe a rainbow in 2 words, right? Like, so that doesn't give you the space to say most of the colors in the rainbow, you know, because most rainbows have like what, 5 colors, or 6 colors. What is it? I don't know. It's way more than 2 colors. So it's like you can't even express like the multitude of what is there, and also like the intent of using these very brief like word things for personal branding is just to be like this grabber, to grab people's attention, because we don't have the time and energy to actually like pay attention to anything. So it's like everything is about like hooking people's attention. Like I call it like digital currency, you know, that like as a content creator, like you have to figure out this way to make the most digital currency by like getting people's attention. How do you get their attention? How do you grab their attention? And it's, I don't like that energy. Like it feels very like rooted in scarcity. Like there's not enough attention to go around. like you have to do the things for attention. Like, oh, please stop. So I say all that to say that, because you are such a multifaceted, non-conventional artist, it's very hard for you to operate in this kind of space of like personal branding and marketing that is just everywhere for entrepreneurs and small business owners, right? That like you have to come up with this personal brand. You do not. When you get determined to focus on being in creative alignment, your creative energy will handle all that structure. Just like we talked about earlier, that this is like the Pentacles energy, right? Like this is the attention, this is digital currency, this is like money, this is all the structures that are very difficult for creatives to operate in. This is like administrative stuff, sending emails, making a website, like not designing the content of the website, but like managing a website, invoicing, billing, all that stuff that has nothing to do with creative flow, creative energy, or fun. Once you get into the flow of getting in alignment with your creativity, and allowing your creativity to tell you to, I don't know, start combining acrylic and oil paints, and paint on the side of a car door. I don't like it. Just like it doesn't make sense. It's not conventional, but like your job is not to figure out how to make sense of it. Your job, your purpose, your intent, like what you're being invited to do is to listen to that creative energy and say, all right, well, I got acrylic paint and I got oil paint and we have a random car door in my workshop. So I'm gonna, let's go get some inspiration. Let's see what we can create, you know? And that like you just kind of following that flow, that nudge of creative energy, like allowing yourself to be determined to follow the creative flow is gonna block out all the other noise because that's what it is. All the noise of like, this is what an artist looks like. This is how to get views. This is how to get leads. This is how to brand yourself. This is how to make money. This is how to operate in a structure that was created, that was not designed for artists or creatives, that honestly is kind of not really working for anybody. So it's a very long way to tell you that, you know, you're being encouraged to get determined to follow that creative energy, because the thing that's coming is success. This bright, yellow, sunshiny, over the mountains amazingness. I could have just said that, right? But no, I had to explain the whole thing. There's a purpose for that, I'm sure. The next card is, oh, happiness, and it's orange. Come on. I'm going to put this guy here. You might be wondering why there's a llama here, and you'll find out at the end. I have some little silly kind of sticker things in there that, like, I just thought I would try to make this extra fun by having this llama mug here that I keep kind of stickers in, and I'll pull some and we'll just see what they are. They're like super random little things. So if you're not into that, it'll be at the end and you don't have to watch it. But if you are into that, then you'll have fun with me. More fun than we're already having. Am I right? Okay. So next are the Creative Compass cards. So this first one is Rain. You are always in charge, even when the powerful feelings waver. The essence of your creativity is you, and creativity is powerful. Yes. And I love that. I love words, because reign, you know, is like to reign over something, to rule over something. But reign or reins are also what we use to control horses. So I can't, right? Like, it's, we're just going to let it be what it is, which is magical. So this next Creative Compass card is numbers. No one really derives joy from signs of success. It's a project done well, meeting its audience. The numbers on that can be small, but significant still. Okay. So I like this one for you, because, I watched a video. It was a reel earlier today, and it was from a company that makes nails. I want to say it's Young Nails. I can't remember. Like, they randomly came up in my, I don't know what they call it on Instagram. Like on TikTok, it's the For You page. But they randomly came up, and it was someone talking about like technique. And I do my own nails, so I love those videos. And I went to their page to see this other video, which is what I was talking about. And it was a message from, I don't know if it's their CEO or like their social media person, because they were in the other video too. But they were talking about how one of the hardest things for content creation is when you don't get amazing views, when you don't get it like significant numbers, to continue to post content. That, you know, there's times that like your content will go viral and you're trying to figure out like, why is it viral? Like, why do people really love this? And especially if it's very similar to other content that you've posted. And then there's other times where it's like, oh, this is going to be so good. And you post it and it's like, wait, what? Only 4 people liked it. Like, what? But this, what is happening? What is this algorithm? What is the audience into? And so the moral of the video was like, keep posting content. Like, try not to let yourself get discouraged when the numbers are small, because they're still significant. And so just remembering that like creation is a long game, you know, and that like, our brains tell us that like people that are creators, that are really, especially like really successful creators, like they just had that one big moment and they exploded, right? So like if we look at like an actor, I don't know, let's say like Brad Pitt, you know, that like, oh, he had that one big movie. I don't know what that would be. Maybe like Interview with a Vampire, let's say. I don't know. And like he was in that movie with Tom Cruise, and like it just like exploded his fame, and from there it just took off. And it's like, Right, but like how many movies did he make before that? Like how many small roles did he have before that? Like how many, TV shows did he do before that? Where like I think one of the things that kind of comes up every once in a while with him is like that he had a really small part in like Thelma and Louise, and that like for some people that was where they first saw him, and then when he became famous, like they didn't remember that that was where they had seen him until somebody else was like, oh yeah, like he was in that movie. And it's like, oh my gosh, I knew that face from somewhere. I just can't remember where because it was such a small part. So when you're creating, when you're following that creative flow, allow yourself to stay focused on the determination to move towards your happiness by following your creativity and allowing your creativity to be a guide instead of the numbers, instead of like how little you're making on your work, instead of how small your audience count is, instead of how low your view numbers are, or like any of those numbers, like instead of the fact that like you didn't make money this week, right? Or that you didn't have any audience growth, or like your views didn't peak this week. Because I feel like the numbers are this kind of external thing, that we are taught that like it's important what people think of us, it's important how people see us, it's important that other people validate us, and it's really not, because when we look at this, when we go back to the message of this card, that your creative energy is what is going to bring in that happily ever after, whether that's like money, audience, fulfillment, like collaborative opportunities. Like following your creative flow is what's going to bring in all that structural stuff like numbers that the external world says is important, but that like for the purpose of like your happiness and your ability to create and how you feel about yourself, like it is completely disconnected, right? Like the numbers and like proving our validity is not where like true happiness and like confidence comes from. Like when you're in the flow and you're creating things that you really love, that you celebrate, that like you enjoy, that's where the happiness comes from, not from like these numbers. So very long message to tell you that even when it doesn't feel like your numbers are successful, like you're being encouraged to continue to keep creating, and to keep focusing on that creative flow. So next are these rainbow brain skull cards. So the first one is, this one's silly, interesting. And how do you know that that's exactly what you want? So I feel like this this is funny. I feel like this is just more confirmation that like these outside messages, right? Because like I feel like it's funny because it's like a fortune teller, right? And that's pretty much like what we're doing right here. So it's making me laugh because like that external validation, like the external validation feels good, right? Like it feels good when we get a bunch of views. It feels good when like the content you post has a bunch of likes. It feels good when somebody like purchases a piece of your art, or someone tells you that it's so amazing, or that you're so creative, or like it's so beautiful. But like, is that really what you want? Like, yes, it feels good, but it's like, are you creating for the purpose of the external validation? And if you are, that's great, but I don't really think that that's the end goal for why you're creating, right? And so it might be, like you might want to have that validity to show someone else, to say, hey, like I got 1 million views on this video that I made, and that means that tarot reading is real. And it's like, but what is the purpose of that? Like to prove to someone that their disbelief is wrong? Like you can't really change anybody's mind, so then it's like, well, what's the point of the external validation? Exactly. What is the point of external validation? Like I think this card is kind of an invitation to look at like, Are you sure that that's exactly what you want? You know, that are you sure that like that external validation is really as important to you as you think it is? Or is it important to you because you've been told that that is what is important? You know, because we live in a society that kind of dictates what we should and shouldn't value based on what we see all the time, right? So in our society, like we've been taught that like being skinny, youthful, beautiful, attractive, rich, muscular, if you're a man, is what is valuable and attractive, or what is like valuable, what is important, what gets you external validation. And it's like you can be all those things and still not be a satisfied person. You can also be all those things and be like a really shitty person. You know, or like you can be too skinny and then people don't like you. You can be too muscular and then people don't like you. So it's like kind of looking at things that way. And even like from an art perspective, you know, like a lot of artists, like their art doesn't, especially like the really famous artists, like their art gets more appreciation once they are gone, you know, and that like really great art is timeless, but like Leonardo da Vinci doesn't know that people still look at the art that he's made, right? So like if he was trying to make art that would be appreciated when he didn't exist, like that kind of, from a human perspective, that kind of doesn't make sense. Like, yes, legacy makes sense. Like you want something that's going to be timeless, but like if he was making art with the sole purpose of people 2,000 years from when he was alive, being huge fans of his art, like how do you validate that? You can't validate that. So like, why would that even be your goal, right? It's almost like if I set a goal to grow 7 feet tall, and if I don't grow 7 feet tall, then my whole life is a sham. Like I'm 5 foot and I'm 43. I'm not growing anymore. Like it doesn't make sense, right? And so that's what I'm saying about external validation. It does not make sense. And so it's to go back to this card, and how do you know that that's exactly what you want? Like, how do you know that the external validation is exactly what you want? Is it, or is it that you've been told that it should be? And just something to, you know, something interesting to kind of think about. So this next card is out-argue the bad narrative in your head. Yeah, I like that. So I feel like this is very much like your creativity, and this is that bad narrative. So I'm going to put this underneath this little card with, you know, those like higher kind of head crown chakra energies moving back into alignment. Like that you're, you know, the times that your ego comes in and says like, oh, we shouldn't make that, or like that's weird, or nobody's going to like it. Let your creativity fight that for you, right? You know, let your creativity be the evidence against your ego that has been told what is valid and what isn't valid. Let your creativity fight that. Let it argue with that for you. And then you go, you know, you go make whatever magical things that you make. And then the last 2 oracle cards I have for you are from the Raise Your Vibration Oracle. So the first one is, I am grateful for the earth. All right, I'm gonna have to move this little guy. I'm gonna move these because I feel like this needs to be under this Queen of Wands, because we talked about that sunflower card, that heliotropic, you know, kind of focusing on following the sun. And also sunflowers are not usually orange, but this one is, just like the sacral chakra. So, and happiness. And then this next card is, I lovingly accept myself. Yeah. I feel like that's a good one. Because we, you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but society tells us what we should put value in. And like, there's not a lot of messages from society that we should lovingly accept ourselves. I think there's more now, you know, like we're in a time that people are really learning that the value of like being compassionate with ourselves, like being accepting and loving of ourselves is so powerful. And I think it's because of that contrast that like we live in a world where we are taught that like no one is acceptable, and that like we kind of, the feeling of like us not being acceptable, we project that onto others and judge others for their unacceptability because we can't accept ourselves. So you're being invited to lovingly accept yourself. And now I'm going to use this little, see all this nonsense in here? Like all these little things. So let me see. What do we have? What is this? Okay, wait, say what? Maybe this is your disbelief that you can have everything that you want by following that creative energy. Or maybe you just like owls, or maybe it's just nonsense. Let's be honest, it's just nonsense. Oh, patience you must have. Yeah, I feel like that's a really good one. Be patient with yourself. You know, as you're changing and releasing things, like be patient with yourself. Because I feel like you're doing good. You're doing great. What is this? Oh. I don't know where to put this. This is silly. Maybe this one. I feel like this was my reaction to the reins of the chariot and the reins on this card. So that's me. That was my face. I don't look like that. I mean, my hair does. I do have short hair. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. I feel like I have held you hostage to my nonsense long enough with these little sticker cards. So, yeah, group number 1, this has been your creativity card reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it was helpful. I hope it made you feel good about yourself, because I feel like being a creative person is, it can be challenging, right? That we can be like really hard on ourselves, that like the world doesn't really value creativity, and that like, there's so many external things, right? That like other people will like what you created when other people like it, right? And that like just remembering that like you're a magical creator, and that like your creativity is there to bring you happiness. It's there to like teach you how to love yourself. It's there to help you, you know, kind of see that like all this external stuff that we've been taught is important actually isn't. It's about how you feel about yourself, right? So yeah, group number 1, this has been your reading. I just want to say thank you so much for letting me read cards for you, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So if you chose this Justice card and the Apparition Spirit Speak Tarot, this is your reading. So I've got those Oracle cards I told you about, and then I've got your tarot cards. So for this tarot spread, I use the same spread as I use for like a relationship reading. And so I wanted to kind of just take a look at the relationship that you have with your creativity. And so like I will be showing you cards for your energy, your creativity's energy, the combination of energies, and then the way ahead, or like what the future holds for the two of you, these two, you know, energies. So your energy is this Knight of Swords. So you are very much like a mental creator. Like you might be someone that is like a visionary. A lot of your ideas come in more of a sensual way. So like you might be someone that can like see visions, right? Like maybe when you meditate, like you can see things in your mind, or even like when you start sketching, like if you are an illustrator, or you draw, like you can see what it is in your mind that you want to draw before you get it out on paper. If you're a musician, you can hear, you know, that music inside your mind, or even see the notes inside your mind before you actually like play them and create them. The same for like a painter, even like a writer. A lot of those concepts, like it's almost like you download them before you actually get them out. And I feel like it's almost like you have this endless source of like ideas, right? That like you're always like you get inspiration from everything, right? And so it's like this light shining on the earth, like this, the pink is kind of related to your brain. So it's almost like the world inspires the ideas in your brain. And like with this spiral, I was gonna say cycle, this spiral, it doesn't, this spiralic energy doesn't ever end. And so that's why I feel like you have, like, you just really have this endless source of ideas, because you are inspired by everything that is around you. You know, like you are someone that, like, you don't really get writer's block, like you don't get like creative blocks. When you're not sure what to create, you kind of just look at the world around you, and it could be like, maybe you go for a walk and you see something, or maybe you go get groceries and you observe someone, or maybe like you I don't know, like you drive somewhere to get something to eat and you see like colors, or like a business sign or something like that, and it's like it just sparks like these ideas inside of you, which is really, like, I don't know, I think that's really cool. I think that's awesome. So that's your energy. And so the energy of your creativity is the Lovers. Oh, so like you're what is this cow? What is happening here? I love this deck because it's so, like, it looks so random on the surface, but I don't feel like it is, right? Because like whoever illustrated this, like, maybe they were like cow people holding hands. But also I feel like tarot cards are very much about the message behind the images, right? Like the images kind of evoke these concepts, messages, like downloads from the people looking at the cards. And so maybe you do love cows. I don't know. Maybe this is just bringing you as much joy as it's bringing me, because this is making me giggle a lot. I feel like your creativity is like, it just loves you. It's like, I just want to make stuff with you. Like, I like hanging out with you, and I like that we make things. Like, I like all the maybe the randomness of it. Like, it might be, it almost feels like your creative energy is really random. And because you are inspired by so many things, like, I feel like some people who are creatives that are very cerebral, they can allow other stuff to get in their head, right? So, some people that are not comfortable with creative energy, they might have downloads come in and they're like, why would I draw a picture of a cow and a ladder, and a locket for like the Lovers card? Like, what that doesn't make any sense. That's making me uncomfortable. I don't think people are going to like it. I don't think people are going to get it. I don't want to do that. The Lovers card is about people holding hands. Like, what is this? And so I feel like your creativity is like, your creative energy loves that you are comfortable with the random, and that like you don't, like, no matter how kind of quirky or like peculiar like the inspirations are that like come in, like you don't ever shut that down. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like, that's dumb. Or like, nobody's gonna like that. Like, I feel like you and your creative energy are very much like, it's very much like a partnership. But I feel like also with the Lovers card, it's a mirror, right? That like the other person, in a love relationship, in a connection, in a partnership, like that other person is a mirror for us. Because, when we are in a loving connection with people, like, it can show us, like the other person can show us through their loving of us, like all these amazing things about us, right? And this is like, even like friendships, like if you have like really deeply loving friendships, like, and you have people in your life that just like care about you and that you care about them, like those relationships are a reflection of your ability to care, your ability to love, your ability to connect. Like those people choosing to have connection with you, and those people offering you like kindness or gifts or whatever it is that they bring into your life, listening, supporting, like that's a reflection of what you also offer to them. And so I say that because like your creativity is a mirror to you, that like you and your creativity are both kind of like quirky, random, maybe a little bit eccentric in the best way. There's some peculiarity to the things that like you create, the art that you create, because you allow that creative energy to influence you. And so with this card, it's like I keep saying, like the artwork is really interesting, but these are all things that are familiar, right? Like this isn't weird, like there's not anything about this that's like, ooh, that's disturbing. Like, like this locket, like, normally like when someone loves someone else, they put pictures in the locket. Okay. And there's like a cup with a rose on it, maybe this is like celebration. Lighthouse, that like a lot of people feel like their person is kind of like their light in the dark. This kind of divine hand bringing something in, sometimes that's how we feel about like love and connection, that like it's this kind of magical thing. For whatever reason, this is making me think of The Cow Jumped Over the Moon, like like the kind of children's story. Like these things are all familiar things. Like there's nothing here that's like, what is that? Like I have never seen that structure. What is that? Like, no, these are all familiar things. And they're put together in a way that like kind of doesn't really make sense when we first look at it, but there's nothing like unfamiliar or threatening or like disturbing about it. It's just like, oh, that's a very interesting interpretation of this card. And like at the heart of it, there's this connection, this reaching, this holding, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, life really is random, right? Like life really is random. And like that the beauty of being human is that we can meet people that we go from like being strangers with to like having decades long friendships with. Like when you think about like your parents coming together to like birth you, right? Like that's kind of like really random and like bizarre, because like, when you think about being a child to people, it's like until you get to be later in life, like you don't really think about who your parents were before they were your parents. And like if you have the opportunity to like learn about who your parents were before they met each other, or even before like you came into their life, it's like super random, right? Like it's like it's almost like there's parts of it that are like you can't even do that on purpose if you want to. And so like for me, like I'll share a personal thing. Like my mom is from Thailand and my dad's from Iowa. And like how does a farm kid from Iowa meet a woman in Thailand, in a country that like he probably never even heard of until he joined the military and the Vietnam War happened, and then the war ended, but then he got sent over there because we know that the things that we're told about war are not like, it's not all truthful. And then like when he's there after the Vietnam War is over, that's how he meets my mom. And like then these two people from completely different worlds that barely speak the same language decide to make a human, and here I am. What? Like, what? It is so random. And so I say all that to say that the beautiful thing about like your energy and your creativity's energy is that like you don't judge it. That you just kind of let your creativity, like whatever it wants you to make, you're like, yeah, that's cool. Let's draw that. Or like, like, yeah, let's make that song. Or like, even like, I feel like even like cooking, baking is creativity, right? Where it's like, well, I wouldn't normally add zucchini to this cake, but like, let's try it and see what happens, And so I feel like it's just a really, really beautiful connection that you have with your creativity. So the next card is the combination of you and your creativity's energy. And so this is the Hermit. Just really cute to me. Like the traditional card for the Hermit is an older gentleman wandering in the dark with a lantern, like this one. Sorry, it's like upside down, but well, it's upside down for you and for me. And so it's just kind of this like seeking energy, like seeking in the dark, moving really slowly, because like if you're walking around in the dark with a lantern, like it doesn't give you very much light. It's not like a flashlight. And so there's all these candles, right? So 9 candles, because Hermit is the 9th card of the tarot. And then we also have this little, look at this little fish. What is happening? Fish out of water? What? Like this person is a candle holder. Like this deck is quirky and interesting, and that's why I love it. But the combined energy of you and your creativity is this Hermit card. So it's you and your creativity you get lost in each other. And so like when you get into the flow of your creativity, like you probably lose time pretty often. Like sometimes you don't come out of your creativity until like your stomach's rumbling and it's like, oh, what time is it? Oh my gosh, it's 4. I haven't eaten all day. Like I've been painting this for like 3 hours, or like I've been writing for 2 hours, or I've been illustrating or drawing for 6 hours. Like what is happening? Like I gotta take a break. And so I feel like it's just this really beautiful energy, because even though you lose time, I feel like that's this hallmark of how much you enjoy being with your creativity, but also like your success is like your success as a creative is very incremental, and so it's like a slow burn almost. And I think for you, like you're not a creator because you're seeking success. I think that like you very much see, how do I say this? Like you very much see yourself as kind of outside of the norm. That like, because of all this like black and white, and also sort of symmetry, right? Where we've got like there's swords on both sides, but they're flipped. We've got all these cups, the cups are flowing, but the liquid and the cups are different colors. And so to me, like what it feels like is that you don't really subscribe to like what society says that you should be doing. And you have kind of accepted that like you're outside the norm. And it's not this energy of like, oh, I don't belong. Like, oh, they've rejected me. Like there's nothing like there, you don't feel any way about it. You don't take it as judgment. You're just like, I opt out of that. Right. So it's almost like if the whole world is an email newsletter and like you just kind of unsubscribe. You're like, no, I'm good. Like I don't like I'm not saying that your newsletter isn't valuable. I'm not saying that there's not great things in there, but like no thank you. Unsubscribe. You have lots of other people. Like you don't really need my buy-in. You don't need my endorsement. Like I don't want to share my energy. And so I say that like your success is incremental. It's like this slow burn because you're following your own path. And the path of the Hermit always leads to the star. And the star is the most prosperous, like fortuitous, abundant, amazing, like positive card in the tarot. And so like the irony of the Hermit is that, he carries in his little lantern, like he's got this candle, but actually like it's hard to see, but there's a star in the background, right? So like the Hermit, as he's carrying his lantern through the forest or through the mountains or through the dark, he has the star in the lantern already. And what he doesn't realize is that the light of his lantern comes from inside of him. And on this journey in the dark, these incremental steps that he takes, he comes to realize that he is the star, that he has been the light in his own lantern this whole time. And that like going through this kind of dark, solitary time helps him to figure out, like, oh, like, I didn't realize that, like, I wasn't carrying matches to keep my lantern lit, but it's always lit. And it's like, where does that light come from? Where does that fire come from? Like, it comes from inside of you. And that, like, as you allow this like light and this fire inside of you to just continue to keep burning as you're taking these steps, like, it starts to shine outside of you, and people start to see you, and you start to shine. And over those incremental steps that you've taken, like, and that you've been with your light, with your fire, it becomes like the shining, the glowing happens so gradually that you don't realize that you're like this bright, shiny thing. You're just being you. And so I feel like this combination of energy, like, it's almost like as you continue to just partner with your creativity, like, your aura, your light, your energy just continues to like grow and grow and become like more positive and more warm, and it draws people to you. But as you're creating, you're so kind of enamored, you're so focused on being in that creative flow that, like, once you look up, then you're like, what are all these people doing here? Like, what is happening? And so to me, this almost feels like, if you've ever seen those videos of like when people do like street art, right, where they're like painting, or even like they're doing chalk art on the sidewalk, or like the spray paint art, like out in a public area. And then after a while, like, or even musicians, like this happens a lot, like in the videos where people are playing music in a public place, and it's like, maybe they're singing and they have the eyes closed, or they're like doing the chalk on the sidewalk, and then eventually like they look up and it's like a huge crowd, right? Or like whoever's doing the video for them kind of pans around and it's like so many people, or you just see like reactions. Like, there's this guy, I think he's in Europe, maybe Italy, and he plays piano. And there's one video, well, there's a couple of them, where people come up and they're like, can you play the song? And then like one guy was singing with him. In another video, a little girl asked him to play a certain song, and she brought out her violin. And like, this person's just playing piano. Like, they're just kind of playing piano because they love to play, and people love music. And like, it's in the middle of like a busy train station or airport, and like, it's stressful, and why not? Like, music is beautiful, and it's soothing, and it's calming, and that as you continue to like just be in the flow of your creative energy, you're going to look up one day and it's just going to be like, you're just going to have like all these people that just enjoy watching you make what you make, like they just enjoy experiencing the process. Oh, I love, it's like giving me chills. Like, I just love it. Because I feel like what a gift, right? To just be in the flow of the thing that makes you feel alive and good and positive, and then to look up and see like other people are enjoying observing it as much as you're enjoying making it. Ah, beautiful. Just beautiful energy. I wish I could hug you. Like, unless you're not into hugs, then I would not do that, because I don't ever want to make anybody uncomfortable. But I just feel like I love this for you. Like, this is just lovely. The next card is going to be the way ahead. And as you can see, I have this little random llama cup. I brought it because it's super colorful, but also because I have all these little like stickers and things in here. And so at the end of the reading, I'm going to pull some of these out because it's just silly and fun. And why not? So if you're not into silly nonsense, that's at the very end, so you don't have to stick around for it. But yeah, so the final tarot card is the combination, not combination, that was this, is the way ahead for you and your creativity, or potentially like what the future holds. So, oh, the Magician. This is so good. So good. Oh, sorry, I'm a weirdo. Your reading is so fun. Got this spiral here again, like the spiralic energy. In the traditional tarot, this is a infinity symbol. I feel like this spiral is very much the same as the infinity symbol. Like, energy is spiralic. It just doesn't really end, you know. It's either going up or going down, but it's going. And so the Magician card is essentially that you can manifest whatever you want. You can create whatever you want. Like the Magician has all the elements of the tarot at their disposal. They have swords, which is communication, words, thoughts, mindset. They have the wands, which is taking action, like making something, taking tangible action, bringing something to life. The pentacles, which is time, energy, money. And then the cups, which is like love, intuition, imagination, creativity. So this Magician can grow anything. They can grow anything out of anything that they have available to them. And so I feel like the future for you as an artist is, or as a creator, is whatever you want it to be. Like you and your creative energy get to come together and really birth whatever outcome that you want, birth whatever life that you want, which is super powerful, because I think that like to me it feels like very long lasting evolutionary energy. And so what I mean by that is that like the artist that you are right now, the creator that you are right now, that might not be the creator that you are in 10 years. And I think sometimes for artists and creators, like worrying about if the thing that they're doing right now, if their niche is going to be viable in so many years. And I feel like a lot of that comes from social media culture, like digital content creation culture, where it's like you have to hop on the trends, and trends are very short-lived. And I feel like that is not the case for you, that like, because you and your creativity, you and your creative energy can manifest whatever you want, because you're together, you guys are the Magician. Like your creative journey is going to evolve over time. So like you might start out as like a sculptor, and then like in so many years you might evolve into being like a welder, and then you know after that you might evolve into being a painter, you might evolve into like building instruments. Like there's, you know what I mean, it's like there's this kind of flow of things where it's like it's a river, like it just keeps going and going. And like as long as you continue to spend time with your creativity, like you can just build whatever, you can manifest, you can magic any life that you would like for yourself. I feel like that's amazing. Who doesn't want that? Like who doesn't want to just be able to enjoy what they're doing and just create and live and enjoy their life? Like I feel like you're just a super easygoing person. Like your energy is just very like go with the flow. Very, I think a lot of people, I don't think you're a surfer, but I think a lot of people would kind of describe you as having like surfer energy. You know, it makes me think of it makes me think of that sea turtle from Finding Nemo. I think it's from Finding Nemo. Like it makes me think of like that little guy, which is fun. So that's been the tarot portion of your reading. So let's look at these Prisma. Let me look at this box. Prism Oracle. I think I called it the Prisma Oracle in the last group's reading. Whatever. Color cards. So the first card is, oh, love. Y'all, I can't. This is so sweet. Your creative energy, like if your creativity was a person, like they just adore you. Like they just love you. They think you're the best. Like they just, it almost feels like your creativity is like this entity, right? Where it's like almost like your creativity is your soulmate. And like it feels like it's so sweet, because it's like I feel like if your creativity was a person, like, and they are talking to me, they're like, oh, I can't wait to hang out with group number 2. Like we hang out all the time, and it's always like the best. We get to do like these super fun things, and like we come up with ideas, and then like they just make these ideas real, and it's like it's so cool. And it almost feels like your creativity like is a person showing me around your house, and in your house it's like a museum. It's all the things that you've created, right? And I feel like your creativity is like almost in my mind like showing me like this wall, and they're like, oh yeah, me and group number 2 hung out on this day in like May of 2017, and they made this thing, and like look at this. And it almost feels like I'm looking at a digital picture frame of an experience that you had. Like it's, you know, it's not necessarily like this is a piece of art that you created, but like your creativity is showing me like memories that it has with you, which is just so, I don't even know what the word is. Like it's like, gosh, is it like, it's not adorable, tender. What is the word that I'm looking for? What, sorry, like what is this word? It's it's just, it's so sweet. Like it's just so sweet. Like if your creativity was a person, like they are in love with you, and like just they can't say enough, they're your biggest fan, and like they, you know, like they just think you're the best. It's so sweet. I love it. It's making my heart, like my chest, so super warm. It's just, it's so endearing. Endearing, that is the word. It's adorable. So your next Prism Oracle card is, ooh, Strength. So I'm going to put this here. I feel like this Strength card very much matches this Hermit card. Also, I feel like it matches this Lighthouse too. Very interesting. Like the imagery is very interesting to me. So I wonder if your Strength, there's something I'm feeling about, like it takes a lot of strength to let yourself get lost in that creative energy, because I almost feel like you might have gotten criticized by people in the past about this, that like especially people in your life that are not creative people, that don't understand or haven't experienced what it's like to get lost in something, like to lose time in something that they really enjoy. And I feel like, you know, that like not everybody gets to experience that. And I don't even feel like, and this is not a judgment to you at all, but like I don't even feel like you feel bad that people don't experience this. I almost feel like you see it as a choice, that like people make a choice to not allow themselves to get lost in some type of creative flow, and that like that's their choice. Everybody has free will. Like if that's not your thing and you don't want to try it, that's fine. But also, you're not going to justify or explain to someone else why this is valuable to you. Like it kind of, your energy kind of feels like the people that criticize you, or that get really upset about you getting lost in your creativity, they're just showing you that they're not your people. And like you don't harbor any ill will to them. It's almost like this mechanism where it's like, you just don't get me, and you don't have to, it's okay. But like, that's not where I'm going to invest my energy, right? Like it's almost like you're so secure in like who you are as a creative person, that like people rejecting you, criticizing you, whatever about you getting lost in the creative flow, just that's not your problem. And I think that a lot of people, especially other creative people, they see that the ability that you have to do that, they see that as like this massive strength, you know? And I almost feel like you might have people that learn this about you, or that have learned this about you, and kind of other creatives that are like, how do you do that? You know? And so I think that like that might be a message for you to share with people, to kind of, it's almost like a way that you can support other creative people, you know, like especially other creative people that are still struggling to like be seen by the non-creative world as like valid, or that they're fighting to incorporate themselves into the non-creative world as creatives. Like I just feel like that's a really powerful message that you have, especially because it's rooted in a lot of self-love, and it does not include judgment about people who, like, just at all, right? Like, you're not judging non-creatives for not experiencing this. You're not judging yourself for experiencing this. Like, you're not saying that something is wrong or right. It's just, this is the way it is, right? And that, like, this is who I am, this is how I am. And if that is a problem for those people, that is something for them to deal with, but it's also a signal to me that they are not the people that I need to invest and connect with. And that's what it is. You know, it almost feels like very matter of fact, like that it's like you're a redwood tree and like somebody walks up to you and they have like a rose and they're like, you need to be a rose bush. And you're just like, I'm a tree. You know, and it's like they can stand there and like yell at you and like point this rose at you and like try to stick it into like your bark, and you're like, that, no, like I'm not going to, one, I can't be different than I am. Two, I'm not going to try, because that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you are expecting me to be something that I'm not, the way that someone expects a redwood tree to turn into a rose bush. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not plausible. Also, why? Well, I mean, why is rhetorical, right? Like, we don't really care why, but like, why are you pushing this onto me? And I need you to go figure that out, because this is not a problem for me. This is a problem that you have with me, who is not making problems. So yeah, very interesting. Next is the Creative's Compass card. So the first one is fear. What are you so afraid of? Unpack it for a moment and set it free, or use it. Very interesting, because I don't pick up a lot of fear in your reading. But that's, I mean, we're being a human being, like, it's, I feel like fear is something that's inherently part of being any animal, you know, like I think we're animals. And so fear is part of like the survival mechanism. So I think like this message is just that, you know, when it comes up, take a look at it for a minute and see, is it something that, like, is it a warning to try to help you stay safe? Or is this something that, like, you can kind of use to inspire like new art, new creations? And this very much might be other people's fear. Since I don't feel it from you, it might be the fear that you're observing in the world around you. And so, you know, because you are the magician, you know, the combination of you and your creative energy, your creative path, you're the magician, you can alchemize things. You can take things that, you know, are, it's like the whole lead into gold, you know, alchemizing lead into gold. So yeah, that you might be able to do that with the fear that you see in the world around you. The next card is being. Creativity is not an identity, but a state. It's not work, it's existence. It's simply you. Yeah. Yep. Nailed it. Next is the Rainbow Brain Skull card. Okay, so it says, if there is no you out there, get out there. So we see in this little rainbow spectrum, this person's missing. So continuing to maybe manifest, you know, some spaces where you can be, or manifesting the courage to get into spaces that like you don't see yourself in. That could be what the fear is. You know, there might be this kind of feeling from this, especially that like, I don't belong, I don't fit in. And so it's, you know, it's like, if there's no green person out there, then you need to get out there, because you do belong. And you belong because that space is there, and like, you were created to be in a space, you know, especially when you see that there is no you in that space, that energy is not there. So I feel like this might be you coming into working as an artist or creative in kind of unconventional spaces, like spaces where the world or even you have thought like, well, they don't need an artist there, or they don't need my kind of creativity there. And this is just a message that they do. So don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't be afraid to show up in your authentic way, because that's needed. The next card is, you're not supposed to be happy, or you're not supposed to always be happy. Let happy sleep. Like, that's really cute. That, like, even happy needs to sleep sometimes, So it's okay the times that, like, you're not rainbows and sunshines and happy. It doesn't make sense to just be like shiny, happy people all the time. And that however you be is perfectly acceptable, just being you. Next is, raise your vibration oracle cards. So the first one is, you are safe here. Oh, I love that. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. And then the next one is, healing myself heals my lineage. Nice. Where can I put this up here? I think so. Perfect. I like it here with the magician. We've got this growth plants. What did I say? You're not a rose bush, you're a tree. Okay, so I'm going to pull some of these silly little cards. Let's see. Oh, step by step. This little puffin card. I'm going to put him down here. Step by step, getting out there. What is this? I feel like this is your this is how your creativity feels about you. Your creativity is like, I gotta get over to group number 2. They are my favorite. I love them. I feel like this chart is more for me than it is for you. Oh, this is nope. This is not more for me than it is for you. So apparently you are enjoying this as well. Okay, sorry. Okay, and one more. Whoa. I feel like this is how you feel about when people expect you to be a certain way, that like whatever the world says about being, that you have to be happy all the time, that you have to fit into a box. You're like, nope, that's not, no, thank you. No, thank you. Nope. Okay. Oh man, this one's gotta be my favorite. Look at her. Look at this kid. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry. Okay, group number 2. This has been your creatives card reading. So I hope that you enjoyed it. This was really fun. I love your energy. I love your connection with your creativity. It just feels so lovely. It feels like a giant hug, which is just sweet and adorable. But I just want to say thank you for letting me read cards for you. If you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And yeah, just thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So if you chose this Fool card and the Numinous Tarot, this is your reading. So I've got your tarot cards here, as well as all those oracle cards that we talked about. So the spread that I used for your tarot card reading is, it's a relationship spread that I usually use. And so it's looking at your energy, the energy of your creativity, the combined energy between the two of you, and then like the way ahead or the future. Because I just wanted to see how you and your creativity relate to each other, like, because I feel like it's like a partnership, right? So let's look at your energy first. Ooh, so we've got this World card. Super magical. I like it. So it feels like you have recently kind of you've recently completed a cycle, and that you're ready for something new. So this might be that you've made like a career change. You might be kind of in a phase of life where something is changing, like for for people that have kids, maybe your kids have grown up and like moved out. Maybe your kids are going from like, being toddlers to like being school age. Even, if you're going through some big like health changes in your life that have like changed some part of your life, kind of makes me think of like women going through menopause. Just any kind of like closing of a chapter, right? Where it doesn't feel like unexpected or scary or anything like that. It's like something that like, if you're choosing to change careers, it's something that you've put a lot of thought into. Like this ending is very intentional. Even if it's only for the purpose of wanting to start something new, right? So it's like, okay, I need to close this out before I can move on to something else. The World card is the last of the major arcana in the tarot, and the Fool card is the first, which is why it's the 0. So yeah, you're ready to move into something new. You're ready to move on to something new. You're ready to start something new. So let's see what the energy of your creativity is. Okay, so the energy of your creativity is the Tower. So the Tower card is the Tower card is a big unexpected change, and so like we have this person here that's falling out of the tower, but if we look at them, there's this kind of circle around them. They're in this kind of light energy, and so like the change that you went through was a decision that you made. Your creativity wants to shake things up. And so it's almost like it's almost like you decided, let's say like you ended a career, and you decided like, okay, I've saved up enough money to go on a trip to Vietnam. And so, in this trip that you've planned, like you decided that you're going to do these 4 things and that you're going to be there for about 3 weeks and that you've got all these things planned out. But when you get there, you meet someone that like you have this really like kind of like fun, positive connection with, and they are actually kind of doing the same thing, but they're doing something different. And like what they're deciding to do, like what they've planned, actually seems like way better than like what you planned for yourself. And, they invite you to go with them on their trip, and, you're able to kind of cancel the plans that you've made with no problems for you. Like you get a refund, and like it's flexible. And so you kind of get sidetracked, by this person. And it's this really unexpected change. And maybe even other people are like, what are you doing? You just met this stranger. Like, what in the world? But with this kind of circle around you, like, I feel like it's very divine, right? Like it's this divine protection, because when we see this person falling out of the tower, it's before this tower has even been struck. It's like seconds before impact. But like you're jumping out, you're jumping into this ocean, everything is fine. And so what this feels like to me is that your creativity is like, it's almost like your creativity is protecting you from yourself, because the things that you had planned for yourself, even though it's like this new change, this new chapter, you're very intentional around it, like you made a plan, that's actually not for your best, highest good. And so it feels like your creativity is coming in to destroy the plan that you made, because there's something so much better. And so like, to kind of follow this story in Vietnam, like you go on this trip with this, or you shift your trip and you go along, with this person and their trip, and you actually end up going to like another country that you weren't planning to go to. And it's actually way better than Vietnam. Like let's say that you go to Thailand because they're very close, and it's like, it's actually the experience that you thought Vietnam was going to be. No offense to anybody that is Vietnamese. I'm Thai, so I think Thailand's better. Granted, I've never been to Vietnam, but what I'm saying is that like this is something that like that your creative energy, like this divine creative energy, is is bringing in, because this is the perfect time for it. So I feel like because you intentionally made this decision to close out a chapter of your life, it's almost like your creativity was like, okay, this is the opportunity, because group number 3 is finally ready to take the plunge and do something new. They're finally open to it. They've let go of a lot of like that need for control. I'm there with you. I'm not judging you. They finally let go of this need for control. And this is the perfect opportunity for me to sidetrack them in a way that they're so comfortable with that they won't see what's happening. And like, it's almost like your creative energy is is hatching this like evil plan for your best, highest good. It's this creative energy, this tower moment from the creative energy is trying to derail what you thought was what you wanted. And it's almost like your creativity knows that that's not really what you wanted. Your creativity knows that you chose that because it's safe. And again, no judgment. Like the world is scary. It's hard being human. It's complicated to be a human being. It's complicated to start new things. But I really feel like your creativity knows you and it knows best. And like I said, this is very much divine creative energy. This almost feels like a spirit guide is what it feels like. It feels like it's very much like this way higher perspective, like angelic energy. Kind of almost like a divine counterpart. Like this is the way I think of it. And, we all have our own beliefs. So if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't, then you just leave it here. I feel like when we choose to come into human form in this body, we have a kind of like a planning team, right? Kind of like a board of directors. Like we have souls that we've known for a very long time. And so sometimes those souls reincarnate with us. Sometimes those souls stay up in the higher realms to kind of watch things and like kind of navigate and like help us. And so I feel like your creativity is like one of those souls, one of those spirit guides that has stayed up in the higher realms, that is like, okay, group number 3 created this like plan for incarnation, and one of the things that they wanted to overcome was maybe a fear or a need to control, or just having really kind of spontaneous, joyful human experiences. And so this moment when they are ending this thing, this is the exact perfect moment for us to make that, like, implement that part of the plan. And so spontaneous joy doesn't doesn't come from planning. Like planning and spontaneity are kind of literally the opposite of each other. So I feel like that spirit guide, that creative spirit guide that you have that's kind of up in these higher realms is like, okay, this is our moment. Like we got to do it. We got to do it. Like this is the moment. Let's pull the trigger and let's do it. So that's your creative energy. The combined energy between you and your creativity is, the Hermit. Very interesting. This came up in the last reading. So interesting. And so we've got this person, with their lantern, and they've got their staff, and this cloak that they're wearing, that she's wearing, is the cloak of invisibility. I feel like the really interesting thing about this version of the Hermit is that her feet are not touching the ground, right? Like she's on this path because like the Hermit is traveling on this path by themselves. But she's like high up. And so it almost feels like the path that as you follow your creativity, as you allow the creative energy, creative spirit guide in your life to guide and lead you, like it's this very, very divine journey, right? That there are things that will not make sense. You are not going to logically understand how you got from here to here. I think in your old life, there was very much, it was very tangible, practical, like, let me look at a map and let me look at this trail and see where this trail goes. And like, okay, here's a marker, so I know I'm going the right way. And here's a marker, so I know I'm going the right way. And this is a fork in the road, so I have to make sure that I stay right on this trail. Like that, I feel like that's very much your old life. And this next chapter that you're coming into, of you diving in headfirst to follow your creative energy, you're literally gonna be in flow. There's going to be like divine guidance, and you're just gonna kind of follow it. And in the times that you do get to a point where you reflect back, because I think in your last life there was a lot of reflecting forward. Like, how do I determine the milestones to make sure I'm on the right path as I move forward? In this new chapter, you're not doing that. Like, the Fool isn't concerned about where they're going. The Fool is concerned about being in the present moment. So in the moments that you reflect back on where you have, like, how far you've come from the start of your journey, and you look back on things, like, you will be able to see like all the divine timing, all the divine interventions, all the divine connections. And I feel like those things are going to continue to help you be comfortable as you build this new life that looks so different than your last chapter. Yeah. And also, all of these cards are major arcana cards. So this is like big change. And I would like to invite you, just an invitation, that in the moments that people outside of you try to pull you out of this kind of divinely connected, divine, like, when you're in your hermit energy, like when you're following creative flow, you kind of get lost in that, right? Because it's just you and this like light of creativity, and you're just like, the hermit moves very slowly. The hermit, like the hermit's lantern, it's not very bright. Like when we look at it, like there's all this darkness, it's the night sky and the stars. Like, it has to be really dark for the stars to kind of shine in the night, right? And so we've got this lantern, which is very small, and the hermit moves very slowly, takes very deliberate steps, because that light only shines so far out, right? It's not a flashlight. Like the hermit can't see 500 yards in front of where they're stepping. They can only see the next step in front of them. And that's really what it means to be in the present moment, and also to like follow that divine guidance, because like your spirit guides, like your divine creativity is not going to tell you like, oh yeah, this is the 5-year plan. Like, this is month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. Like, that's not how that works. And also, like, I feel like a lot of being in the flow of like divine guidance, divine energy is about being present. That like we have to constantly listen. We have to constantly focus on the light of that divinity and that like creative guidance to stay in the flow. And so I'm inviting you that in the moments that people say or do things that you can feel yourself being pulled out of that creative flow by other people, that's when I would invite you to reflect back on things. Because sometimes when we do things that look so different than who people saw us as before, it makes them really uncomfortable, and it makes them scared, and they will project that fear onto us. And the energy of fear is really strong. And so it's like we feel it very much. Like, we can feel other people's fear, and sometimes it can affect us, right? It can trigger our own fear. And it can also trigger us to like, it can trigger that ego part of our brain. Like, wait, I'm supposed to be afraid. Why aren't I afraid? I should be afraid. Now I'm afraid, like that's like, you don't have anything to be afraid of. And so in those times that those things happen, I would invite you to reflect back, to go from 9 back to 0, and kind of look at how everything happened, and to see that like, sure, I get, like maybe you're like, yeah, I get your perspective from the outside, how this doesn't make sense. But like, this happened here and like it was a synchronicity, or this happened here and this was a connection from people I knew and trusted, and this happened here and this was actually like part of the plan that I didn't share with anybody, that I actually like wanted and kept to myself. And so I knew that that was a confirmation. So I feel like that, you know, like this Tower card can be scary, but like there's no bad cards in the tarot, right? So it's like the thing about Tower is that like when a Tower moment happens, it's because this Tower wasn't what needed to be there long term, right? So it's almost like, if you think of that story with the three little pigs, like, you know how there's one little pig that makes a house out of straw, I think, and then the big bad wolf comes and blows it down. It's like, if your house, if your plan, if your structure can be knocked over so easily, it wasn't built on a firm foundation, which means it wasn't meant to last. And so I'm not saying that the plan that you made for yourself is a bad plan. It wasn't. It just wasn't energetically for your highest good, you know, and that there was something much better for you, much more amazing for you. And so, talking about the future and where we're going, let's look at this final card, which is the Five of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay. So when we look at this card, you know, we've got this person and they're kind of upset, right? And they're burning these books to stay warm. But the strange thing is that they're not looking behind them to see that there's a library that's open, that's out of the cold. And so we can see that they're really upset. Like, I don't think that they want to burn these books. I think they feel like this is what they have to do. And so this almost feels like your energy right now, right? This feels like you watching the reading, and like there being a lot of fear around like, wait, no, I made a plan. And yes, I wanted to start something new, but like, no, I don't want this to fall apart. And like, no, I don't want people to tell me that I'm doing things wrong. And like, no, I don't want to burn up all the resources that I have. Like, I don't want this to go badly, and it won't. But you're being invited to look at things from a new perspective, right? So this person's perspective is that the only way I can survive this snow is to burn the resources I have. Because they're so hyper focused on survival, instead of being focused on what is it that I need to be warm. Okay, how do I get warm? What resources are around me that I can use to get warm? Yes, you can burn your books, or you can look up and look around you. You can take your lantern and shine that light around you and see, oh, there's a library and the lights are on. Why don't I go there and see if the library's open? Because it is. So I feel like in the times that people kind of pull you out of that divine flow of energy and you start to feel that fear, just look up and look around, right? Like, just kind of take a pause, maybe even end the conversation and stop and like look around. When you feel that fear, kind of look around at what's available to you, because the thing that your fear tells you to do in the immediate moment is not always for your best, highest good. And that you always have resources around you, right? Like I said, you have this divine team of like souls and spirit guides, and you even have guides here on earth that you can ask for help from at any time, right? So you can have that feeling like, okay, I feel like I'm left out in the cold. I don't know what's happening and I'm feeling scared and alone and I don't know what to do. Angels, guides, spirit, creativity, help me, show me what I need to do. And so when we trust in this higher power outside of us to help us, it's going to bring in resources that are so much more and so much better than what we believe we only have available to us. And I'm interested to see what's in your oracle cards, but I also feel like this energy, this fear and this survival is a remnant of the life that you had before. And I say that because of this like kind of black and green energy that came out of like at the very center of things, right? That like, this feels very much like fear to me. Like it feels like kind of this darkness, like this eyeball that's like focusing on the worst case situation because that's what we've had to do, because that's that's what has worked, and that's the only thing that's saved us, right? That's gotten us out of so many bad situations. And I'm sure that it did. I believe that it did. But when you closed out that chapter, you also closed out those circumstances, right? That, in this new beginning, this full energy, like I talked about in the selection portion of the video, like there's this lightning and this thunder, but you have at the very top here, it's this rainbow, this positive omen, the sun coming out, where it's almost like this is your old life, where things were hard and things were scary and things were difficult, but you're starting a new chapter that, we've got this way up here, right? Like close to the upper realms, the higher realms. And so this is that guiding light for you, that like when things are scary and hard down here, you're being invited to look up and look around you and see like, what are the resources that are around me? How do I shine my light? How do I ask for divine guidance? How do I reach out and get some assistance? Because I'm scared right now and I feel like this is the only way, and it feels old and familiar, and I don't want to live that way anymore. So yeah, this has been like the tarot portion. I have this little guy here. It's a little mug that I have some like stickers and things in. So I'm going to pull some of those at the very end. They're kind of silly. So if you want to hang around for that, you're welcome to, if that's not your thing. I totally get that. So this has been like the tarot portion of, it hasn't been like, this has been the tarot portion of the reading. So I'm going to share with you these oracle cards now. So let's see what other messages your creativity has. So this is the Prism Oracle, which is consciousness. Yeah. So I feel like when that fear comes in, there's like a new level of consciousness, that it's inviting you to tune into it, to learn from it, to experience it, to go from these kind of, I'm going to put this over here because I feel like these circles all kind of match up, to go from this kind of inner fear into outer belief, into this trust in a higher power. Next is faith. Okay, that one goes there. So, and again, like all these circles, so many circles, phases, that when things feel scary like they've felt before, having faith and trusting that, you have all these guides, angels, spirit, creative energy, wisdom, your own wisdom, because the hermit is very wise. You have all of these things that you can lean on to help support you. It's just really about you having faith that this is there and trusting it and calling upon it. So next I have the Creative Compass cards. Okay, this card is safety. Being seen and feeling exposed are not the same thing. Find safety within your knowing and self-belief. Yeah. Whoops. Next is relics. It was a strong idea once, perhaps, but sometimes you outgrow ideas. Evolution is more powerful than achieving outdated goals. So I feel like that, this combined energy of being the hermit, like you're letting go of old things and learning new things. And that, sometimes, excuse me, sometimes as human beings, we learn best from contrast, right? So as you go along this really spiritual journey with your creativity, there's going to be old things that come up, like situations that remind you of like the old fears are going to come up, so that you can see the contrast between being in this like higher guided, divine, trusting faith by following your creativity, and then being reminded of like the fear that you had in your old life, and being able to see how far you've come, right? How far you've come, 9 cards in from the end of this last chapter. And that, I think relics are when we look at like kind of history and anthropology, like relics are things that we use to learn about these past versions of human beings and past cultures. And they're so interesting to us because they give us so much insight into how people used to live. And so it almost feels like as you spend more time, kind of in this hermited energy with your creativity, as you spend more time alone with your creativity, it's going to teach you so much about who you were before based on like habits and behaviors and even like tangible things, like the material possessions that meant so much to you before that in your next chapter of life don't have the same meaning. They're going to give you insights into more about like who you were and how much you've changed and like how much you've grown, which I think is really, really powerful. Next are the rainbow brain skull cards. So the first card is create right now, not just during soft good times. Yeah, I like that. That, sometimes it's hard to create when we don't feel great, right? Sometimes it's hard to create when the world around us is kind of dark, but in that creation energy, we can bring brightness and lightness into those kind of dark, hard times. And then, what would ultra intelligent imaginary me do? Yeah. And so I love this kind of quirky creative energy and this kid, right? It's very much the fool. And, the rainbow again, that, in this next journey, like your higher self, your ultra intelligent imaginary self, the higher version of you is the one that's taking this huge leap, right? And it's also the one that's supporting you as you grow into like this new version of yourself. It's right there behind you. It's fully capable. It's fully supported, fully supportive. It's excited, so I feel like this is just a really positive encouragement that like your decision to take this leap is like, it's wholly supported. And what would like, maybe in the times that you get pulled out of this energy and into this old fear, just kind of asking yourself like, okay, what would the new version of me, what would the person I want to be in the future, what would they do? What would ultra intelligent imaginary me do? What would highly creative me do? What would my higher spirit self do? Like when I decided to incarnate here, what would that version of me want for myself right now? And then last, I have these Raise Your Vibration oracle cards. So we've got see things from a higher perspective. Yes. Can I stick this? Can we fit this here? I think so. Perfect. Okay, see things from a higher perspective. And forgiveness brings freedom. Yeah. So I think in the times that things are hard or that you're scary, or that not you're scary, that you're scared, you're not scary. In the times that things are hard and you feel scared, and you, especially if you feel unsure about the decision that you made, because I think our ego can come in and be like, nope, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that because look at this terrible thing that happened, and we should have known better, and all these like ways that we can beat ourselves up. I would encourage you to forgive yourself. Because you are capable of making such good decisions. Like you're a very good decision maker. You're very intelligent, super ultra intelligent. And you are also human. And fear is such a strong emotion that can take over us. And fear is so much louder than faith. And so in the moments that like you, are human and you give in to fear and, you maybe even feel like you ruined things, which you can't, give yourself some grace, give yourself some forgiveness that, what, I'm a human being having a human experience. It's really hard to be human. And in that moment that I did things that, reflecting back on, maybe they weren't the best decision for me. I was doing what I thought was best in that moment because I was scared, because I wasn't sure, because I didn't feel supported, whatever those things are. And to say, you know, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for not knowing any better because I hadn't been through that experience. And now you have, right? So it's like, even if you burn those books and you're really upset about it because you look up and you see that the library is there, give yourself some grace, give yourself some forgiveness for panicking and burning those, but also go inside the building and get warm, because that's the whole, like, what's important, right? It's most important for you to stay warm, you know, to get warm and stay warm and be in a safe place. Does it suck that maybe you lost something that was important to you? Yes, but your physical safety, like your security, is always going to be more important than these possessions. So yeah, just give yourself some grace, give yourself some forgiveness. So I'm going to pull, to add a little levity, I'm going to pull some of these silly cards out of here. So let's see. Oh, you are amazing. Keep being yourself. Yes. And put that right there. Be nice. Be nice to my friend, group number 3. Let's see, what is this one? This one caught my eye. Amazing. Look at this. So this sticker comes with guidance on the back. No, it doesn't. This sticker, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are amazing. I need you to do that for me, because you need that for you. You are amazing. Okay. Let's see what else. Let's see what else is in here. What other nonsense do we have? Oh, I got a couple. Okay. I am super chill all the time. Okay. I feel like this is maybe your old self. No, wait, let's put this with the tower. I'm super chill all the time. I'm not freaking out. You're freaking out. What? I don't know. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this one here because of the purple. And then, oh my God. Oh my God. It's so silly. I love it. Okay. Group number 3, this has been your reading. So I hope it was super helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you liked all the really beautiful, colorful cards and the silly nonsense stickers that I pulled out of this llama cup. Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me read for you, and thank you for being here. So if you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And I really hope that you enjoyed this reading and that it brings you some comfort, instead of allowing your fear to take over around like what new things are coming, because the new things that are coming are amazing, because you are amazing. So keep being you, group number 3. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.